We're going to do a tour of the back garden. If you're following the channel, yesterday we did some things that are showing off in the front garden. This is March, so everything is just waking up. We've got perennials back here that are this tall, breaking ground. We've cut some things back, thinned some things. We're in the process of just wood chipped the paths back here. In fact, I haven't even raked it out on the back line yet because I did some additional. I made it a little bit thicker overall. It's super, super dry. And these wood chip paths are an important part of how some of these plants get watered back here. Because if you dig down in these wood chips, you'll find moisture. In some of the other parts of the garden here, you can dig a long way before you find any water. So these are good at holding water in place. They're also good when it rains about shedding water back over into the beds as well. You can see this group of tulips in the front. We showed several groups in the front garden, that struts and shocks and struts and Zephyr combo, and that white what's the white one? Best white. That's what you gotta call a plant when anything best pink, best red, right? And then no one can beat it, right? Because it's the best at that point. I'll put on the screen what these two varieties are here, but this is what you're going for when you do one of these combos like this. You're hoping that they bloom on the same day, and you're hoping they bloom about the same height. And these white ones got way ahead, and it appeared that those pink ones were just gonna lag behind and never catch up. And right at the end here, they've absolutely caught up. These get a little bit of, they're not in the full sun until a little bit later, and they're in the shade a little bit earlier, and they've definitely hold up just a hair better here. It's just one of those southern things where, we're balancing a lot of times where to put something. But we've had some 80-degree days. That's way early for 80-degree days. But I think these tulips have overall stayed fresher looking a little bit longer than the ones in the front garden. Got Laura Pedalum going off. I showed the emerald snow that we have on the side of the house in the front video. This is the one that's been here the longest. I moved it a couple years ago over to this spot. After it flowers, which is the time to prune these, I'll prune a little bit of the height out of this, and I'll just take these tall pieces that are stretched out above the plant, and I'll just chase them down into the plant a little bit. So it keeps a kind of a natural look that way by pruning it that way. It's not in full flower yet, but it's on its way. I think we're another few days. It'll be just basically solid white. I really like this plant. And again, everybody's shopping for pinks and reds and purple foliage and all that. But this emerald snow really, when it's showing off, it's really showing off. When you get a green backdrop like that Stellar Ruby Magnolia right there, then it really pops. Last year, we lost almost every flower on our Laura Pedalum. They just fully opened up, and then we got a pretty bad freeze that knocked them all back. Had 29 a week or so ago now, and they weren't quite opening, which was good. So now they're coming into full flower. This is Purple Daydream. This is almost a red flower. I mean, it's hot pink, right? I mean, we could call this red, or we could call this really, really dark, hot pink, I guess. Great plant. I'm gonna add a little bit of size control on this one in the next few days. The Miss Lemon Ailia is really a showstopper here in the garden. We have Radiance in the front garden. So there's that new, Radiance was added to a series called Suntastic. And so there's Suntastic Radiance. We have 3 of those out front. Suntastic Pink and Suntastic Peach. We'll show you those as we gave them a little bit of a haircut. As they flush out here this spring, we'll show those off. This one was one of the original plants that was planted back here, right? So this is 6 years almost. It's 5 years, 6 years this spring since this plant went in the ground, and look how good it looks. I mean, it's just so bright and showy. When it's got new growth on it, it's really, really yellow, and you can see why it's called Miss Lemon. As the new growth kind of slows down on it, the variegation fades to kind of an off-white color. Starts blooming in late May, early June, and blooms until we get a frost in the fall, or freezes in the fall. We could cut this down to 8 inches tall right now. I mean, literally take every leaf off of it and cut it down to stumps right now, and it'd be back in just in a month and a half. Not an exaggeration. This plant gets bigger than you want it. You just off with its head. But in 6 years, it's reached what, 3.5 feet, maybe 3 feet, and 4 feet in width, something like that. Kind of a perfect ornamental plant, great for pollinators. Our weeping redbud has all 9 flowers it always gets. We showed off the our big native redbud the other day, and we've got some of the other redbuds in the garden as well, and they are much heavier flowering plants. Last year we had a few more flowers than we had been getting, and I was like, well, maybe we're going to fall into a pattern where we're going to get more flowers. But I can 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All the other redbuds are in peak bloom everywhere, and it's already starting to leaf out. So I think it's done with whatever flowers it's going to get. So this Golden Falls redbud, absolute standout in the garden, but at least for us, for whatever reason, I just don't get many flowers on this plant at all. This Pitisporum has continued to be a standout in the garden. I got this in a rare plant auction, and it definitely wasn't what it said it was when I got it. So I'm thinking that whoever had brought it to the auction had some sort of hybrid. I have tried to get some serious plant nerds involved in figuring this one out, and just haven't been able to completely identify. It flowers top to bottom, as you can see. It's passed a little bit now. It's been blooming for what, a week or so, Steph? And peak bloom, it's been blooming longer than that, but probably peak 3 weeks total bloom time already, and then probably a week where it was just completely covered up. They're kind of yellowish tubular flowers, incredibly fragrant, really good plants. I think I'm going to end up taking some cuttings on it, but as we'll be able to get a lot of cuttings off of it this year. But again, possible it's just some sort of a hybrid. The Podophyllum or Mayapples, all 3 of the ones we have back here are up right now. These always fascinate people during the open garden. This is Spotty Dotty. We just put this one in last year, so it's only 2 leaves coming up right now. I see a 3rd one down at the bottom. It won't be as big as the others. Another Asian Mayapple right here. One of the cool things about these is if we look underneath here, there's the flowers. So these flowers on this one are red, quite showy, but they're underneath these big giant leaves. So you think there's a good hiding place for a pollinator, right? And you see the fly on it. I got another fly that just landed on my finger. Lots of things out in the world are fly pollinated, and it's got a perfect protected space to go up under that leaf and hide from any kind of predator that would come along. So a pretty neat little adaptation. These are spring ephemerals, especially our native one, but this one holds up in a lot more heat and slightly more drier conditions here on this back line in the garden. Our native Mayapple is on this end, and it's been in the ground a few more years. It's starting to take a little bit of space. But what's slowing it down, though, is this area is a little bit drier than it would definitely like. These will end up with white flowers underneath those leaves a little bit later in the season. And by the time people are here for the open garden, which is around June 19th, 20th, that one will have died back to the ground already. And the Asian ones will still be up, and people will be back here taking photos of those leaves for all day long because they're so unique looking. If you're following along with the channel before the week's over, you're going to see I don't know, maybe a dozen plants or maybe more go into the native garden here. We do these wood chip paths, and the wood chip paths I've got to rake out back here, but redoing the wood chip paths in the native garden, and it's about to get a lot of plants. We have a ton of things going over there, just trying to figure out how they're going to go, how to organize them over into this space, and we've got a bunch of perennials we have to move around, so that's coming. Sunshine Ligustrum this time of year is a giant show off in the garden. This thing, top to bottom, is just bright chartreuse color and all that new growth. This one is just looking absolutely perfect. After it finishes this first flush, maybe get past our average last frost date, I might shear it just a bit. I keep this one kind of pyramidal, but you can let them grow as kind of roundish large shrubs. You can let them grow as little round meatballs. Whatever the heck you want to do with this thing, you can do with it. It's a non-invasive Chinese privet that it doesn't flower, so it's well behaved here in the garden, and just as a show off all the time, but I'll keep this one kind of sheared like that. It really shows off this Twomley's Red Sentinel back here behind it, Japanese maple, which you can see is almost fully leafed out. The leaves are still a little small, so it's on its way to leafing out. I talked about maybe making a few changes here on this plant as time goes on, but this is really an incredibly heat tolerant Japanese maple, and I think over time, as this thing gets a little bit larger, although it stays upright and narrow, perfect tree for this small Raleigh garden, that and that Sunshine Ligustrum really just look great together. The red sorrel is on its way back big time. These are perennials here in the garden, and you see it has that red mid vein. They are edible, but the green sorrel is definitely better than this red sorrel. We're growing this one as an ornamental. Again, we did these from seed. We have several of them around the garden. They look great in the open garden. And the tickets, by the way, are over on the website if you're interested in coming for the open garden, because this place will be full on color at that time. There's piles along the path, as you can see right here, of wood chips. That red sorrel, it's kind of peak. It grows all spring, and then June 20th, when folks are here, it looks fantastic. But by mid to late summer, it really starts to fade and almost dies back to the ground. And then sometime during the winter time, here they come again, and they're bigger, better, fuller every year. And they're just giant show-offs here in the garden. And knock on wood, it seems like the deer would just come around and eat them to the ground constantly, and they've eaten them once or twice, but they eat the green sorrel to the ground constantly and really hardly ever mess with the red sorrel. So we have several native viburnum now over in the native garden, and when we do that video, we'll show you a couple of native viburnums. Maybe one more going in, right? I think there's a dentatum or something going in. This is the Chinese Snowball Viburnum. And when we say Snowball Viburnum, this is usually the one people are talking about. It's a sterile variety that gets greenish flowers to start, and then they get whiter and whiter and whiter, and they get big. I mean, really big. That's still small up there. That will continue to fill out that as that gets whiter and whiter. This thing is absolutely covered up this year. Look how many flowers it's going to have. We've been limbing this up into a small tree. I got to straighten it out again. It's leaning back toward the fence a little bit, but I got to get it straightened out again. And I'm probably going to take a little bit of top growth out of the very top of it to lighten the load on it just a little bit, so that I can build a little bit more girth down here at the bottom. But look how many flowers this thing's going to have. So I said in the front garden out there, we have a Shasta Viburnum, also a sterile cultivar, and it grows in like a flat pattern like this. This grows as a small tree. You can get, with viburnums, you can get fragrant flowers, non-fragrant flowers, tree forms, shrubs, you name it. We've got all kinds of different viburnum in this garden, but it's one of my favorite signs of springs. This Viburnum macrophyllum, it will also repeat bloom in the fall. So not quite this heavy, but we definitely get another round of flowers later in the season, which is kind of unique on it. I think I'll go down this line real quick, Steph, and talk about a few of the screening plants. If you want to back to the patio a little bit. Thanks. Sorry, she's backing over giant piles of things that need to be raked out. The Osmanthus fragrans looks great, covered in new growth, few residual flowers on it, but nothing like in the fall. This is the Carolina Midnight Laura Pedalum, big, big, big. I've got to prune it a little bit after it flowers. I'll prune on it some. I prune this thing down every year, and I make the nest. Yeah, and like we weren't able to 2 years ago because birds got in there and made a nest really quickly. So I'm going to get it pruned as soon as this peak flowering is done, and I just mulch it. It just mulches itself. I don't come in here and mulch underneath this plant anymore. I tend to cut those limbs off the top of it and just lay them right under it and create its own mulch a bit. The Autumn Fire Encore Azalea is about to come into full flower. The Majesty in the front garden was showing some color yesterday. All the others are still tightly budded, which is where I'd want them to be. But we're seeing azaleas blooming all over the place already. This is actually kind of the plant that I wanted to show off back here. This is Ilex Screenplay. This is a hybrid holly that's in the Southern Living Plant Collection. And I think this thing grows during the winter time too. It's just grown like crazy. I don't know when we planted. This is a really tough neighborhood back here. There's a ton of roots back here. This oak behind us, You know, there's Ligustrum in the neighbor's yard over there, all kinds of things competing with this plant. It's not prickly. It's in full flower right now. In fact, the berries are forming on it. I can see the berries actually forming on it right now. Super fragrant while it was flowering. And I think the thing, every time I look over here, it seems like it's 6 inches taller than it was the last time. Steph and I, in our travels here in the last year, saw this at a lot of nurseries. So like a lot of nurseries have figured this one out. It's going to take a minute, I'm sure, to have them show up everywhere. But this is a really, really good screening plant, and it just hits the ground running, which is one of the main things I want, hopefully, from a screening plant, is that it doesn't sit there for, you know, 2 years before it decides to start growing. We have a ton of work to do out here. I've still got half the pile of wood chips over in the thing. We've got 2 big bags of Soil3 compost that are going to go in the vegetable garden. We've got a lot of things planted in the vegetable garden that are getting moved out into the garden. We have this big pile of plants here. We have a pile on the driveway over there. We have plants laid out in the native garden over there. Tons of things. I mean, oh, we have 12 trays of annuals. Some of them made it out into the sun today, so excited to, you know, get those off the light rack and out, and getting them hardened off and ready to plant in April. So going to be an absolute ton going in here this year. And all of our containers, plus a few more containers, we hope, are going to be mostly tropicals back here. So a lot of the things you're seeing, most of the things you're seeing here are all going in the ground somewhere, but we're also going to then create a tropical space here around the back patio as well. So kind of excited to do that. There's a video with 25 different tropical plants from a few weeks ago when we were down at Bracey's nursery in Louisiana. If you want to go back and take a look at that video and learn some things about a few tropical plants that we'll be using here in the garden this year. Thank you guys so much for following along. All the perennials are kind of this tall, as you saw, you know, probably as we were going around looking at some shrubs that are blooming, and a lot of spring ephemerals popping out of the ground, like the Pedalum back there, and others as well. I like this time of year a lot. I like other than this pollen. The pollen is absolutely ridiculous out here right this minute. Everything is covered in yellow. It's like the last 2 days, it just went from nothing to everything is yellow and everything is dusty. But I do like it this time of year. It's exciting, you know, but we're still, as I say that, another 3 to 4 weeks, probably a potential frost between us and there. So we're being cautious as to what we're actually putting in the ground, doing more of the mulching kind of work and that kind of thing in the meantime, and planting some things that are dormant that kind of match the space at this point, and not getting ahead on putting tropicals or something like that, or the annuals from the house in the ground at this point. So thank you guys so much for following along with this. I think possibly tomorrow or within the next few days, you'll see the garden, the native garden over there starting to take shape as well. Thanks for watching.